Oh my god, I didn't know that it started like this. Hi. Oh no. I just brushed my teeth and I got stuff in the side of my mouth. Alright. And the podcast starts now. Welcome back to the Pink Podcast. This is the Halloween special in the middle of March. I kid. But we are talking about something very scary today. Oh, I don't know what dialect that was. We are talking about auditions. But let me do the intro. Hi, welcome back to the Pink Pod Podcast. I'm your host. Wait, wrong. Hi, welcome back to the Pink Pod Podcast, where we talk a little bit about VO and a lot of bit about life. I'm your host, Olivia Sarafina Washington. And yes, I know you all missed me so much last week. That's why I don't even remember my intro. It's been a week. I don't even know what this is anymore. What's the name of this podcast? Who am I? We are talking about something scary, though. Back to what I was saying about the Halloween special. Auditions. Guys, I hate auditions. And that's literally the work of a voiceover actress. Before we get into it, though, this is sponsored. That was loud. By Bubbly. I have always wanted to be the voice of Bubbly. I have been drinking Bubbly since I was whenever it first came out. I don't remember when it first came out, but I was the spokesperson to all my friends. I just spit. I was the spokesperson to all my friends because I was like, Bubbly is the best. So Bubbly, thanks for the sponsorship. I'm speaking it into existence. I love Bubbly, especially the mango one. I remember before I even booked Paw Patrol, I was working as a camp counselor, putting it in a little coupe glass for those of you who are just listening. I was a camp counselor at the college that I went to, and I would always have some Bubbly. Y'all. Can we talk about how magical that was? Can we talk about how this is now an ASMR podcast? Oh, delicious for my soul. Okay, Bubbly, there's your 2-minute audition / commercial. Take it. Run with it. Pay me. You know what to do. All right, now we're here. Auditions. So auditions are the work when it comes to voice acting. And it is my least favorite thing in the world, but I'm very, very good at it. I spoke at One Voice Conference in Dallas, Texas last summer of 2025. I was invited to speak there because of my success. My success, I guess. But actually, factually. And I was a speaker, so I ran a workshop. And my workshop name was called Audition Like You Mean It, The Art of Standing Out and Cashing In. And here's the session description. Ready to spice up your auditions? After 6 years of consistent success in the voiceover world, now 7, I've pulled together the key ingredients to making your auditions pop. In this session, we'll explore how adding flavor to your reads is the secret to standing out in a crowded field. You'll learn the art of the conversational read. No more going in cold. We'll focus on how a lead-in phrase can set the tone for a killer performance. I'll show you how to give every audition your best, your absolute best. I can read. Then let it go and move on. Auditioning doesn't have to feel like a chore, but it does to me. I'm adding that in. It does to me. It is a chore. It's about bringing your personality, confidence, and energy to each opportunity. Get ready to level up and start booking more work, because when you audition like you mean it, you'll cash in. Wow. Pero wow. That was really good, Olivia. Thanks, Olivia. So beautiful. All right. So yeah, in August I did that workshop at the voice conference, I was so nervous. I literally sobbed before doing it because I was like, I've never done anything like this. But it's that, look, those are the growing pains of doing something outside of like your normal comfort zone. And I'd never spoken about voice acting to like a group of people or like on a platform like that. And one voice conference is like the biggest voice conference either like in the world or the Northeast or like something like that. I don't know what the stats are, but it's huge. Everyone who's anyone in the voice acting community comes to one voice conference, USA, Dallas. And yeah, it was crazy. But I did really well, and everyone was coming up after to tell me how much my message resonated with them. So here today on this podcast, I will be sharing some of those things that I shared during the workshop. Also, I want to say that I know in my last episode, I talked about how I was going to talk about voice acting. Well, duh. How I was going to talk about auditioning in this episode. Like I said, I took a week off, which was so nice and so needed. I kind of wanted to be like, do I take another week off? But boy, oh boy, that would be like a, what is that called? Snowball effect of just taking off the rest of the year. Oh, my something in me would love that though. To be like, actually, I did 4 episodes of the podcast. Let's leave it at that. That's good enough. Which I am very proud of myself to do, but alas, I did say in the last episode that I was going to speak about auditioning, and I was going to kind of do what I did in the last episode where I showed you all my audition and then bring it into I didn't post the final product on that podcast episode, but you can find that final product of that SoFi commercial that I'm referencing you can find that on my Instagram under my highlights under SoFi, so you can find that final product. But I realized instead of giving you all that kind of shared screen educational breakdown of my process of the audition into the final product, which there's plenty of that because I've booked a lot. Insert my resume here. Boop. I've booked a lot of jobs. I've booked so many jobs. My resume is like in like 0.5 font. The font is so small on my resume because I can't fit all my jobs, but I have to just start deleting some, which is like a great problem to have. Am I right? So anyway, I will be releasing courses, and I don't know if it's going to be like in a formal course way where like I'm using a course.com website, the kind of thing, but I will be releasing a paid lump of videos, of educational videos, breaking down my audition process, kind of consolidating all the information that I've given within the podcast, which is way more long form, casual conversational speech about my process, my journey into this really niche career, how I'm making 6 figures consistently. Clearly I'm doing something right. And I do consultation calls, but I think something that, and you'll let me know, those watching, the 3 people watching. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Because actually Apple Podcasts told me that my podcast was in like 200 and something place of performing podcasts, like performance-based podcasts, which was pretty good for just coming out last month. It was like in a higher place than I guess usual. So they emailed me to be like, hey, your podcast is doing really well. And I'm like, is it? But okay. Also, are people listening to this on Apple Podcasts? Because it's such a video experience. You need to see the freaking eye gems I'm wearing. You know what I'm saying? But potato, I won't be mad about however you're getting your content. But for example, in the course that I'm releasing, I won't be speaking long form and casual and conversational like this, where I go off on tangents about my eye gems, and break the fourth wall, in like a more messy way that the ADHD way, It'll be something worth paying money for. And right now you can do my consultation calls for $50. So like my course work, I'm thinking of like $33 or something. And it's something you can listen to and play and learn from for forever and ever and ever and ever and infinity and beyond. So I've been wanting to release courses for a while now, and I think the podcast, doing this video podcast, has been like dipping my toe into just doing something. But I now think I'm definitely absolutely ready to release a paid situation besides my consultations, which I just had one this week, which I want to share some of the information that person was asking me about and give you guys the answers. Save you guys some $50. Even though I think it's beneficial to get that individual help, but nevertheless, all that being said, course is coming soon. I think you'll really like them. Enough talk about that. So back to my One Voice Conference presentation. Here is what I will share with you about the art of auditioning, how to stand out to cash in. And when I say cash in, I mean, getting into that 6-figure tax bracket, and in voice acting, which is rare. I actually want to read the stats for how many actors are making enough to even qualify for health insurance. Here is a stat that will blow your mind, because it blows my mind every time I see it. Approximately 12% to 14% of SAG-AFTRA union members qualify for union health insurance annually, translating to around 19,000 to 25,000 actors out of 160,000 members. Here's the kicker. Do you know how much you have to make in order to qualify for health insurance? Take a guess. I'll give you 3 seconds. 3, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2. All right, time's up. You have to make $25,000 to $27,000 a year to qualify for health insurance through the union, through SAG-AFTRA. 12% of actors are making above $25,000, meaning 80, actor no good at math. 88% of actors that are union make less than $25,000. So back to what I'm saying. Just like over 80% of actors make less than $25,000. 80%. And that's generous. It's actually like 88%. Almost 90% of actors make less than $25,000. Okay. So when I speak about this craft and my work that I've been doing for 7 years, that's why I'm so not passionate, because I'm kind of lackadaisical actually, but I'm emphasizing it so much and so often when I talk about the apartment that I was living in and paying, everyone knows, everyone says in unison, $5,350. Right. When I talk about those numbers and the success that I've had in this career, it is not to be like, I'm so great. It's to be like, this is a miracle. This is not normal. This is not regular to make over $300,000. So, bubbly break. It's not normal to make 6 figures, period, like for most Americans. But to make it in this really niche craft, it's so minuscule. Like the people that are making $1 million in voice acting are like the SpongeBob's, the Tom blah blah blah, and like the actors on Bob's Burgers and stuff like that. I'm talking about like voiceover commercial. I digress. The way that I started the One Voice conference was, hi, my name is Olivia Sarafina Washington. I've made 6 figures exclusively doing voiceover. I hate doing auditions, but I'm really good at it. Let's move into what I shared now. Now that we have almost 20 minutes of blah, blah, blah at the beginning, timestamp of now this is where the real information starts. The mindset shift. Everything starts when you change your perspective, when you change your outlook on auditioning. Auditioning is the work. Booking is the vacation. Auditioning is the job. Booking is the vacation. Say it a million times. So when I get an audition, I'm like, oh my God, this is some work. But when I do a job, I'm like, yes, yes, I'm getting money to speak. I wrote, standing out is the goal. Playing it lukewarm will get you nowhere. If you want to book heavy hitter spots, hold on. If you want to book heavy hitter spots, there needs to be something memorable. And then I go in and I started talking about SoFi. And then in the conference, I played my SoFi audition, which I played in the last episode. Go to the last episode if you want to hear my outrageous SoFi improv audition. I think it was so out of the box. That's why I booked that campaign for a whole year. And that was the first job that I ever booked. But I just balls to the wall, went crazy. And that's how I booked a year-long campaign for SoFi Banking Company as my first job. It's cringe. I made notes that it's cringy, unrehearsed, improvising. That made me stand out. So my belief is that every time I do an audition, I'm not thinking, how can I be different? I'm just thinking, I don't want to be cookie cutter normal. I want this to be me. I'm adding flavor to it. I live a colorful life. I'm a colorful person. So what I'm adding to an audition is that flavor of me. My agent, the head of voiceover at my agency, had a conversation with me very early on. As a Black woman that I am, and ain't I a woman? As a Black woman, sometimes they are looking in these auditions for that flavor of whatever quote unquote Black is. We're so many colors and we're so many different shades, not literally, but like just vibes of life. And I went to acting school, so I can speak very like California standard is what they call it. So people can't really tell where I'm from, but I can add that flavor. Growing up, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, I can add that flavor and I can sound like maybe the sound that they're looking for when they're asking specifically for a Black woman to do a commercial. I don't mind doing that. I feel like it's the same vibe when maybe an actor is playing a slave or something. Or maybe when a Latin actor is being asked to put on like that accent, like to make something sound a little more Latin-ish. I don't know. I feel like, and you can let me know if this affects you, I don't really care. I booked Riscato wine, and in my audition, it was a Black casting director. He told me to sound more Black, and then I booked the job. So I'm like, I don't really mind that, adding a little flavor. Because it is a part of me. It's all a part of me. I'm every woman. It's all in me. Anything you want done, baby, do it naturally. I'm every woman. It's all in me. empty. Oh, 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 yeah, yeah. I'm every woman. But I am. I really am. Because I am that. Flamily reference. So I don't mind adding a little flavor. If you're an actor of color and you're watching this, sometimes add a little flavor. Add a little flavor. I met a woman when I first moved back to Atlanta in 2023. We were at a voiceover meetup, like a beer, drinks, after work meetup that I went to, thrown by Atlanta Voice Studio. She's a black woman. Similar to me, though, she can do the California standard dialect. And as an actor of color in a white world where you think that maybe that's what you have to do and put on and be, she was doing most of her auditions fairly vanilla. She asked me while we were there at that meetup, how are you booking? Because I still was booking at the time, and I am me. I was at a level of success in 2023 that's good. So she was asking, what's the secret, essentially? And I said, to be so for real, girl, sometimes you just gotta add a little flavor. She took that advice. 2 weeks later, she booked a huge job, taking my advice. Am I saying that it was me that booked her that job? Am I saying that... what's the Kim Kardashian thing? Hold on.
Wedding.
Andrea Bocelli.
You stole my wedding country and my wedding performer. Andrea Bocelli is my favorite male singer of all time, but I'm copying her Dolce Vita lifestyle. Okay. I got married in Italy.
Am I saying you copied me? I told her to add some flavor. Am I saying she booked the job because of me? She added flavor. She booked the job. I had flavor. I booked the job. Am I saying she copied me? Oh, brother. Point being, it was at that moment. It's at that moment that I knew that I was going to be doing the consultation stuff. That's when I started doing consultations. Because I was like, if this one little piece of advice to homegirl helped her, even if with a mindset shift, to book something when she had not been booking, then let's see, who knows? Okay, so anyway, I've been doing consultations since then. That's something that I share. Next, add flavor, spice it up, add something different. The power of hey is the next part that I share. When it comes to auditioning, the power of hey. You need an intro word. For you, it may not be hey. Mine is hey, 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 hey. When I'm looking to buy certain things, that's how I go into an audition or a job, really. In my jobs, I do that too. But it just gears my voice up to where I want it to be. So I'm not going in cold. I saw it in a video years ago where a voice actor was saying to go in with a intro word. I never go in cold. I never go in cold into an audition. So if the audition line is, today at Kohl's, this weekend at Kohl's, it's $9.99 on Bermuda shorts. I'm going, hey, 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 this weekend at Kohl's, it's $9.99 on Bermuda shorts. Or if it's a little bit more conversational, it would be like, hey, this weekend at Kohl's, it's $9.99 on Bermuda shorts. See the difference? So my hey informs where I'm going, my direction. If it's a warm thing, hey, 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 this weekend at Kohl's, it's $9.99 on Bermuda shorts. See, That's the range. She has the range. Or if they're asking for flavor, here's the hey. Hey, hey, hey. So like this weekend at Kohl's, it's $9.99 on Bermuda shorts. There you go. Look, I'm giving you the sauce. I'm giving you the gold. I'm telling you what to do. I'm giving you my secret golden sauce. Take it. Run with it. It's free. It's free. And if you want more of that, pay for my course. But seriously, if you want more tangible examples of that, that's what will be in the course. And I'm speaking this not to be like, bye, bye, bye. But I'm speaking this to be like, for myself, this is what I want to add to the course. This is what I want to share and teach. Because there is such an art. And so, as you saw when I did the one with a little bit more flavor, I was like, I went in with something else too. So it's the hey informs also that little pre-life. There's another lesson here. Write it down. Pre-life, mid-life, post-life. I was in a session maybe 8 months ago, and the director was commenting on how I was giving pre-life, midlife, and post-life. I had never heard those phrases before, but it was great to hear an educational breakdown of what I do naturally. For example, if the line is, there's nothing better than fall together with the new pumpkin spice latte at Dunkin, right? Pre-life would be like, there's nothing better than fall together with the new pumpkin spice latte at Dunkin. Midlife would be, there's nothing better than fall together. I don't know how I'd add that in, actually. That's not a great example line to do midlife. If the line is, if you're unsure of what to do and you just feel so stuck, midlife would be like, if you're unsure what to do and you just feel so stuck. So that little breath out, I'd consider that midlife. Post-life would be, have you heard of the new Adidas sneakers for summer? Or Adidas sneakers. Have you heard of the new Adidas sneakers? So that's the line. This would be post-life. Have you heard of the new Adidas sneakers? Or something like that. Like, ooh. I gotta give a better example. But those examples will be in the course. But yeah, you do get the point. Like the here's a good post-life. Post-life meaning after the line. People always tell you, here's the line. It's one of those commercials where it'll be like, people always tell you to eat healthy, right? That's the line. People always tell you to eat healthy. Let's say this is for a GLP-1 or a Weight Watchers commercial. This would be the line. People always tell you to look healthy, to eat healthy. Here's the line with post-life. People always tell you to look healthy. Look healthy. Let's try again. People always tell you to eat healthy, you know? That's post-life, you know? Or people always tell you to look healthy, right? I keep saying look. People always tell you to eat healthy, right? We've heard it a million times. Here's the line. We've heard it a million times. Eat less, move more. Here we go. We've heard it a million times. Eat less, move more. Ugh. Post-life. All of that I just gave are things that I add into my audition. It's not in the script. It's not written. And usually in auditions, they ask you to give 2 or 3 takes. Sometimes 1 take. And this is where you use your discernment. But my discernment when it comes to voice acting, my gift of doing this a lot and my acting training and my tools, i.e. not being just fresh off the streets with a nice voice. Bubbly break. I know how to act. I know how to act. So therefore, I'm bringing that into my voice acting auditions. I am making them real, conversational, and snappy in a way, and ear-catching, and shippable. Like, if you're in a session and the session's going really well, or you did a really great take, the casting director, the director would be like, or the producer would be like, ship it, ship it, ship it. If it's good, like, ship it off into post, and we can put, then it'll be on TV. Anyway, all that to say, that's a little bit of taster of things you may or may not have known. I just learned those phrases. I just learned those phrases like 6 to 8 months ago. So pre-life, midlife, post-life, check, and check. You get it? You got it? Good. If you don't, I'll go into more detail in the courses, but also ask questions because I actually don't know what people want to know. In this little break, before I keep going on with some of my, mind you, people paid $700+ to go to this conference that I was speaking at in last summer. So I'm giving you all, my pink pod people. Yes, that's your new name. I just created it right now inside of my noggin. My pink pod people. I'm giving you, well, I can't even put a price on this information, but people paid over $700 for this in the summer to hear me say this. And I'm telling you this in probably a calmer, more informed way, because it's not in like a time constraint. I think I had less than an hour, to speak. I think it was a 45-minute session. I'm already at 35 minutes of this podcast. And I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon. So you are getting over $700 worth of information for FREE, that spells free. I will say this other thing. Some of my pre-life, if they want flavor, like specifically asking for a Black actress, I will add baby, girl, I will add those things, and I usually book those jobs. There's a little tidbit. Hey, if you take some of this information and you end up booking something using these tips, please let me know. Please let me know, because I would love to hear that. But anyway, in this little break, I will share some other tangible tips that my person that I had the consultation call with, he was asking me these questions that made me go, oh my gosh, I'm literally, as the sun is beaming in, period. Oh my gosh, I am seriously a master in this craft, or I've been doing this for so long, I don't even think about certain things. So I'm grateful that he was asking me these questions. One of them was, how far from the mic do I stand, or I position myself? So this is how the mic usually looks, and I do it from right about here. My sound interface gain is turned to halfway. If it's an animation, I'm a little further back and I turn down my gain. If there's no other ifs. If I'm going to be loud, I don't want to blow out my sound thing. What is up with the sun? The sun was like beaming in. As much as we appreciate that, Queen. Like, that's a little less sterile. So, what's another thing he asked me? Oh, he asked me if I take out breaths. And I was like, whoa, it depends. So this is where the script analysis that you all learned when you went to musical theater acting school, speaking to those specifically that are thespians that did this for undergrad or master's. The script analysis doesn't go away in VO. It's just a little less. Like, I'm obviously not reading a whole 200-page script from a musical or a play. But the script analysis is if anything, it's the same but more compact. When I'm reading a script for an audition that is a commercial 30-seconder, and they're asking me for conversational, I'm not going to take out a ton of breaths. Of course, if I have flubs where I'm like, or if I'm like, I'm going to take those out. But if they want something a little more conversational, I'm totally going to leave in more breaths. So it sounds like I'm a real person versus AI, especially in this AI age. I want it to sound like I'm a real conversational person. I want them to know that I'm not just AI. I don't want it to sound robotic is the word. I want it to sound like I'm a real living, breathing person, especially if the spot is a pharmaceutical spot where there's a lot of emotion involved. I used to think that my day couldn't get started until 3:00, until I discovered Zymphia, the new depression medicine, or something like that, where I thought that I couldn't get out of bed and that this was just going to be my life. I'm going to add breath. I'm going to keep my breath in there. But if it's a snappy Kohl's commercial, $9.99 for Bermuda shorts, $10.99 for blah, 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 $6.99 for the grill, blah, blah, like there's no breaths that are needed in that. It's not that conversational. It's very salesy forward. Oh my gosh, the sun is beaming in. And my computer is hot, hot, hot. Okay. I'll wrap it up soon. Okay. But do you get that? So do you understand that? Do y'all get that? Please say yes. I'll do some quick thumbnails before the sun gets crazy. Okay. We're almost done. Here is the third, fourth, fifth. I've lost track of my tips. Hard and fast. That's the next thing we're talking about. Hard and fast. Never spend more than 5 minutes on one-liners for your auditions. 10 minutes max for 15-second spots and 30-second spots if they're asking for under 3 takes. 30 minutes for animated. That's fine. You got to play around with the voice. You got to figure that out. There was a casting director that came in on one of our voice acting calls that we have with our agency, with the agency that I'm signed with. The sun is really trying to make a guest appearance, y'all. And I'm like not mad at it, but I'm also like, okay. She gave me those numbers, or not. She didn't give me those numbers. She told us numbers that were similar to that. I don't remember the exact numbers she gave us, and I don't know the exact casting director, but I do know that those numbers have served me. When I first started in voice acting, which I forget all the time, that's why the questions are so important, because I'm kind of so far away from my beginnings, and I'm moving as such a veteran at this point, like I can do this in my sleep kind of vibe. I'm like, wait, people want to know how far away from the mic I'm sitting. People want to know how many breaths I'm taking out. Like that blows my mind. That's questions, but I'm like, wait. I'm sure I would kill for this kind of information when I first started out. So that's really why I'm doing this podcast also. Like, I wish there was someone speaking about this in such a layman's term, straightforward, no like up in the air, metaphysical, not metaphysical because I'm all about that, but metaphorical, voice acting, the actor, blah, 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 kind of way. This is like, boots on the ground, hands dirty, been there, done that, here's a story to back it up kind of vibe at the Pink Pod podcast, where we talk a little bit about VO and a lot about laugh. A little bit about VO and a lot of bit about laugh. So I hope that these are tangible things that you can take away. And yeah, that's it. That's all I'm adding. That's all I'm saying. So 5 minutes for one-liners, 10 minutes max for 15 seconds and 30 seconds, 30 minutes for animated spots. And also, but anyway, did I finish that story that she came in and she gave us those numbers? I was going to tell my story. Okay. The reason I say these numbers and why they're so important, and I emphasize not doing it too long on, oh my God, the sun. not going too long on your auditions is because when I first started out in voice acting, I used to spend hours on auditions. Hours and hours and hours. Yours, mine, hours. I could do this for hours. Hours. I used to spend hours on auditioning. I would beat it to death because I was like, I must book this job. I was desperate for the work. Now that I'm not desperate for the work, I still would love to book. I love booking a job. It feels really good to book. Thank you. More, please. I just don't spend as much time on the audition because it won't get better, truthfully. And I give it what I got. I do the best I can with what I got, Mariah Carey. I'm going to do the best I can with what I got. So, take it, run with it. Have something fun to do after. Have something fun to do after. It means have a life. Because auditions are way more fun when you are excited to go do something when you're done with the audition. That's it. Oh, and something that I also love about that is that have a life outside of voice acting, because you never know how it'll benefit you in and out of the job. I think as an actor in general, you need to have a life, just period. As a creative in general, you need to have a life sometimes away from the art. I mean, it depends from artist to artist, but I know with voice acting, there's no way your whole life can really be that. I mean, maybe it can, but I don't think people are living in their booths. I think you got to leave your booth sometime or leave your closet sometime. Come out the closet. I prioritize my community because my money is seemingly tied to being myself. So therefore, the more time that I spend with community and learn more about me, the more I can give to my voice acting jobs and my auditions. I force myself to make plans, and I do them. I have to see my people. For a cool example of having a life outside of acting is I took a semester of wheel throwing last summer. So 2024, summer 2024, I started wheel throwing pottery. I've always wanted to do it. Last year, I get an audition for Google, and it's specifically asking for people that know how to do wheel throwing. Because of my experience in my first semester, or my one semester of wheel throwing, I was able to audition for that Google job, and I booked it. So I booked a Google Gemini commercial last summer, and they flew me out to Toronto. I was there for a week recording this commercial on camera, by the way, not voiceover, obviously, if it's wheel throwing. I'm assuming you know that it's visual. But yeah, I did wheel throwing for a commercial. It was so cool. But they obviously hired a real wheel thrower to a real potter to do the pottery. I just kind of went back into frame and acted like I knew what I was doing. Will that commercial ever come out? I hope so. Some of my other castmates were saying that the commercial came out. I just can't find it anywhere. I gotta ask my agent. Anyway, I feel like the overall was like adding flavor, adding improv, adding a little bit of zhuzh to stand out. Not to stand out, let me correct that. It will make you stand out and you'll eventually cash in. There's casting directors that say it's annoying for when an actor kind of goes off script and does the improv thing. I say do it tastefully, discerning, in a discerning way. If you are not a seasoned actor or somebody that feels confident in their ability to improv tastefully, I would not do it. It probably will come off like, hey, I'm standing out. But if you are someone that can do that in their tool bag, then do that. But then always just be you, do you. that's what will pull you into the types of jobs that you're meant to book. I don't book a ton of animation. I've said it before. I live in commercial. I can do commercial with my eyes closed. I love commercial work. And like I said, in the courses, it'll be concise, not so much filler. Still a couple stories, sure, but I want it to be really educational and something you could have a pen and a paper out and take notes and understand the breakdown that I'm giving. Here on the Pink Pod Podcast, it's free form. We kind of just blah, blah, blah. And hopefully you can get pointers out of this as well, or at least just kind of be introduced to, as the sun is encroaching on the total shot, be introduced to just different to be introduced into a world of voice acting where people are booking, where it's possible to make a career, where we're uncovering what's been hidden behind the veil as the sun breaches through on the screen. We are shining light on things that have been kept in the dark, and not kept in the dark in like a spooky way, but kept in the dark because it's such a niche space, voice acting and being successful in it, full-time careering it. It's not spoken about, one, because there's not a lot of people who are making enough to sustain full-time work, like, doing this for a career. But two, I don't know if people are sharing it in a free way. I think I actually don't know. And three, there's not a lot of Black women speaking about it. And on top of that, young Black women, under 40. Should I say my age? I turn 31 next month. Aries, April 13th. And I've been acting my whole life, pretty much, like since I was very little, very young. But voice acting I've only been doing this for 7 years. So I'm a newbie because there's a lot of older people in this craft, especially older white men. They love this work. So it feels kind of cool to infiltrate as a young Black woman doing big numbers. So that's my credential in the sense of why you should even be listening to me. But hopefully this is episode 5. I hope that you already knew that. All right, y'all. I'm not going to hold you any much longer. There's not much more to talk about except astrology-wise, which I usually start with as I'm stuttering. Hello. Astrology-wise, I've been feeling it. It is the Pisces new moon tomorrow/Thursday. Today's Tuesday, March 17th. There's also the spring equinox on, I believe, the 21st, if I'm not wrong. Let's look. March 20th at 10 a.m. Spring equinox is on March 20th this year, Friday. So in 3 days, it will officially be the astrological new year. If you have been feeling this week like there is a cleansing, so you'll be receiving this the day before, actually less than 24 hours before March 20th, 10:46 p.m. a.m. because I usually drop this in the afternoon on Thursdays. I have been feeling it. There is a clearing out. There is a pattern clearing out that is happening. So any patterns and old ways that you're trying to still cling on to are being cleared out this week, these past couple weeks, but especially this week. I'm so happy that I was able to get back to you all on this platform, on the podcast, because that last week of not doing this felt too good. But I will say that it feels also good to be back. I want to thank Bubbly for sponsoring my future episodes, so that everyone can enjoy a bubbly break. Everyone deserves a bubbly break with a new bubbly mango. It's not new, but that's my audition. So, love y'all. I think this is the end, especially because the sun is it's over and done. done, but the heartache lives on inside. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, I love y'all. Oh, here's my outro. Follow me on Instagram at Olivia Sarafina. That's OLIVIA SARAFINA. Follow the Pink Pod Podcast on Instagram, Pink Pod Podcast. And subscribe on YouTube. Follow, share, send to your friend that's been wanting to break into the industry, or send to your friend that's in the industry and just wants to hear somebody else speak in a different niche of that creative, artistic world. Like I said, I'm your host, Olivia Sarafina Washington. Thank you all so much for tuning in once again to the Pink Pod Podcast. Love ya. Bye.